Hey, what's happening guys? Mark back here from Mark's Aquatics. I'm going to do a little update on the koi fry today. They're all coming along really well. We've got about probably 20 I think which have gone through that stage, and now they're all free swimming and they're all looking healthy. They're all taking food from the surface and that's starting to sink down through the water column. I've just put some in. You can see a bit of it blowing around there and just coming down, so it might make them a little bit more active for you to see them. There's a few of them on the bottom, and this camera, you're going to find the camera is going to keep zooming, and as one of them little guys comes past, it's going to try and focus on them, and so it might nip in and out of focus quite a few times during this little video. But a few things I was going to say to you guys out there, if you're planning on bringing on some koi fry, like I said in my video, when I first got these little chaps, I went down to my local store, my local fish store, and the koi were breeding in the vats down there, some of the bigger ones, the adults, and I just asked a couple of the lads down there for some of the fry, which is just for some of the eggs which were getting stuck around the side of the pond. So we scraped a few off because they're really adhesive and they stick to anything that they touch, and we took some and I brought some home, and there's another video on the eggs hatching. You can see them moving around in the eggs. If you haven't seen that one, pop back and see that. But a few real, I've been looking around on YouTube, and I find there's quite a few people that aren't having success with keeping baby koi and bringing them on. And one of the really important things is live food. Once they first hatch, their little brains switch on, and the first thing they look for is things like Daphnia, little water fleas, copepods, little things of that nature, and they go scurrying around in the undergrowth looking for it, and looking for these little things, and they predate on those when they're first born. They don't start taking particle food straight away. They're quite little avid hunters when they're first born, and then they'll get through that stage, and once you get them through that stage, then you can start offering them. Once they've got that initial feed, because you'll find once they're first born, they'll go to the bottom or they'll stick to the side of the tank, and they'll just hang there. And obviously when they're first doing that, they're using up the yolk sac for the first couple of 3 days, and once that's gone, then they'll start hunting. So it's really important, if you're going to keep these in a tank, you put copepods in there or some Daphnia, because they breed like crazy anyway, and they won't be eating the adults, but the baby Daphnia, they'll feed on those, and they'll put weight on really quick. And the stronger they get, obviously the bigger they get, the bigger pieces of food that they can take, and they'll start. And I had hundreds of copepods in this little system here before, luckily, because I had some plants in here. I knew they needed it, because I've done this before many moons ago, so I knew what I was up against, so I provided all that for them, and we've got about 20 out now. And another really important thing, guys, is when you're trying to bring on koi carp fry, is making sure that you have them somewhere which is relatively shallow. If you've got them in a 4 foot, in a 4 foot, if you've got them in say a 2 foot deep tank, you're going to find you're going to lose the majority of them, because when they get to a certain stage, they've got to get the swim bladder sorted out, and to do that, they've got to go to the surface, and they've got to take this first initial gulp of air, which then goes into the swim bladder, and then their little bodies sort it all out, and then that's what gives them that buoyancy, where you can see them just floating around like they are now. But they need to get to the top of the water to get that initial gulp of air, and if they can't, they die. So if you're going to keep them, if you ever noticed when fish spawn, you'll always see them spawning in the margins, or up in reeds, wild carp, or like you say, if you're koi carp or goldfish, any fish of that nature, anything at all, you're going to find, if it's an egg layer, it's going to lay it in the shallow. And the reason for that is so the fry can get to the surface and get that first gulp of air. That's why they normally lay in 6 inches of water. You see the fish literally jumping out, and they'll stick the eggs, and they'll just stick to anything, all the reeds and different plants around the edges. And that's a big one, that is. If they don't get that air, they don't make it. But with that out the way, and that little hurdle of that live food, and live food's readily available these days in most aquatic shops, copepods, Daphnia, you can put them in. Put 1 bag of Daphnia in, and you know that they're going to have they're going to be feeding and breeding constantly all the time. You can add a bit of phytoplankton in there as well. And the greener the water is, the better as well, because they'll your live food will be thriving on that, and they'll be thriving off of them. So that's a good situation. So if you've got some green water with plankton in it, algae growing in it, it's even better for them. But these little guys now, they're coming on in leaps and bounds. You can see their little orange tummies where they've been feeding on the I'm feeding them on high protein crushed up koi pellets at the moment, which I feed the big koi. But I intend to actually bring these little fellas right the way through to adulthood. So it's going to be a nice little journey for you guys who watch the channel and stick with the channel. Can watch over the next year or so. You can see them growing up. I'm going to keep them in here, obviously, until they're a certain size. Then I've got a small pond out the front of my house, which I'll put them in then. And we'll bring them on a little bit in there as well. We've got some goldfish out there in the front, but it won't hurt them to go up in there, and they can grow up with the goldfish for another few months. Reason being, I can't put them in the big koi pond is because of the bottom drain, and they'll end up going straight down there and straight into the filter, or they'll go through the skimmer box and end up coming down through the pipe work, through the impellers, and it'd be it wouldn't be worth risking that, because they'd certainly end up doomed one way or the other. So we've got to bring them on slowly and put them in the right size tanks as we go. So it's going to be interesting to bring these little guys along, and I'll give you probably going to give you weekly updates, just little short ones, just to let you know how they're getting on. Anyway guys, if you're new to this channel, pop back and have a look at some of my other videos. I've got all sorts of different things on there, lots of DIY building projects, builds, mini pond build. I've done lots of different things on there that might interest you or interest your friends. So go back and check it out, and if it encourages you to subscribe, brilliantly, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell for up and coming videos. Alright, and guys, I love you all. You're all stars as always. Thanks for subscribing. If you've subscribed already, my subs are going up, and it's lovely to see the numbers going up, and some of the comments I'm getting are fabulous as well. Anyway, be safe. You're all stars. Love you loads, and I'll see you on the next edition of Mark's Aquatics. Bye for now.